Good day, grade 5A and grade 5B students. Welcome to our e-learning for today for social studies. I hope you're okay. For our social studies lesson for today, we are going to discuss and explain land and climate of the South. So, I want you to pause this video so that you can prepare the following materials. For today, you need the social studies book, this YouTube video, Socrative, Class Dojo, and of course, your notebook. And now, if you're prepared for our lesson, let's continue. For today, you are going to do the following. First, I want you to watch everything, all the details, instructions in this video in lesson number 1, land and climate of the South. This is so important. This is really important because everything here, I explain it. Every part, every goal, every learning objective is explained here in this video. So I want you to finish it patiently. Number 2, after watching this video, I want you to download and answer the attached activity in Class Dojo. So, again, I attach a PDF or a Word document here in the Class Dojo, and you're going to practice this to prepare for your quiz today. So, if you want, you can actually take some pictures and videos of yourself, and you can actually send this back to me, the file that I attach, to my email. Again, johnsonTordil.americanacademy@gmail.com. Send this to me, and you can send some pictures and videos of you doing the activity. And afterwards, if you're done this reading the book and listening or watching this video, I want you to do. You're going to open up your Socrative and you're going to take the quiz today. So you're going to answer the quiz today, maybe by 11 a.m. or maybe before 1 p.m. Remember, it's today, not in Wednesday. Alright, let's continue. So these are our learning objectives for today. First, you're going to describe the climate of the South. So again, we're going to describe the climate of the South. Next, you're going to explain how plants and animals have adapted to the environment of the South. So these are our goals for today. Now, let's discuss land and climate of the South. So while I'm discussing, I want you to listen carefully, and I want you to listen to instructions and explanations as patiently as possible. So, without further ado, let's discuss it. So, let's go to the lesson. So, here, I want you to open up your book in page 132 to 135, and you can see this page. If you have the photocopy or the colored book, it's okay. We're going to read it right now. And as we discuss everything, I'm going to discuss some bits of information. So let's start. So, land and climate of the South. So, build on what you know. What does the land look like where you live? So, we live in Qatar, actually. So, the land and climate here. So, the land, it's actually a desert area, a biome of desert. And most of it, it's flat area. Maybe sand dunes. So does it have many different landforms? The South has a little bit of everything. So from rugged mountains to low swampy wetlands. So the South of USA, of the United States, they have rugged mountains. So which means they have a lot of mountains and it's rugged. And to low swampy wetlands. So wetlands in Florida, we discussed it before. The Everglades. The Everglades is actually a wetland in Florida. So Florida is actually a state in the South. Now, land and water of the South. So the main idea is that the South has many different landforms and waterways, including mountains, plains, rivers, and wetlands. So again, these are these mountains, plains, rivers, and wetlands. These are actually what we call the physical landforms. We've discussed this before. Now, going on, 14 states make up the South. So there are 14. So this region can be divided into smaller regions. The upper South, so we have the upper, and the lower South. So we have two Souths. So they divided into two. So the South has many kinds of landforms. For example, the upper South has many plateaus. So plateaus, they have actually a very high flat area. So remember that. Next, we have hills and valleys. So plateaus are high flat areas. So they can be found in Arkansas, Virginia, and West Virginia. Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee have rolling hills and rich river valleys. All right, so you can see here a lot of places: Arkansas, Virginia, West Virginia, and these places have different kinds of landforms and rich in river valleys. So they have rivers, mountains, plateaus, valleys, whatsoever. So both the upper South and lower South have low coastal plains and wetlands. Parts of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana are at sea level. These lowland states have beaches, swamps, and marshes. Many rivers also flow from the south. So as you can see here, we have the upper South. Here, the upper South. Alright, so in the upper South, you can find plateaus, hills, and valleys. Alright, both of them, both of the upper South and lower South, they have low coastal plains and wetlands. Now, here, the lowland states have beaches, swamps, and many rivers. So which means that, so you can actually answer this box here. This. So the upper South has what? Plateaus, you can write it here. Hills here, and valleys here. And lower South, they have, again, beaches, swamps, and marshes. So, where do you think you can find this alligator here? I think you know. We've read this before in lesson 8. Now, let's continue. Let's discuss first this map. As you can see, upper South, the color is a little bit brownish or a little bit of orange. So here, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, these are the states that are found in the upper South. So which means that these states, they have a lot of mountains and some rivers. And here below, you can see the swamps, the wetlands. Alright, so here, like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma. These states, they are from the lower South. And as you can see, the star here represents the state capital. So like in Georgia, the state capital is Atlanta. In Florida, the state capital is Orlando. And also Miami. So let's continue reading. Alright, here. Now, coastal plains and highlands. We discussed before coastal plains. And coastal plains are the flat land near the coast. So near the sea, near the ocean. So the South's coastline is formed by the Gulf and Atlantic coastal plains. These coastal plains are lowlands. So lowlands, which means the land is low and it's flat. It's not a mountain, it's not a hill, it's lowland. The Gulf coastal plain stretches from the mouth of the Rio Grande in Texas to the tip of Florida Peninsula in the Gulf of Mexico. So what is a peninsula? A peninsula is a piece of land surrounded by water on 3 sides. So like Qatar. So Qatar is actually a peninsula. North, west, and east, it's surrounded by water, but it's connected only by one side land. So we are connected one side to the south, to Saudi Arabia. And here, Florida, as you can see in the map here, Florida is actually a peninsula. So this one is water, this side is water, this side is water. Only one side is connected to land. So this is what we call a peninsula, alright? So Florida is a peninsula. Now, going back. The Atlantic coastal plain extends from Florida along the Atlantic Ocean to Virginia. So the Appalachians, so I think you know Appalachians. Appalachians is a mountain range. And the Ozark Plateau are the highest landforms in the south. So these highlands are in the interior. So interior means inside. We discussed this before in English. An interior place is away from a coast or border. So which means that interior, as we go back here, it means it's inside. Not from here, but it's inside. So again, I think you know Appalachian Mountains is here. So it's far away from the ocean. It's far away from the sea. So that's what we call interior. And again, the Appalachian Mountains and the Ozark Plateau are the highest landforms, which means it's the tallest, highest landforms. It's just like Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest landform on Earth. Here in the south, we have the Appalachians and the Ozark Plateau. Now, let's continue. So, we've discussed coastal plains and highlands. Let's discuss now wetlands and water. So, the south largest river, the Mississippi, fans out into a huge delta at the Gulf of Mexico. So, a delta, let's highlight it. A delta is a triangular shaped area of the mouth of a river. So, I think you know that. So, if there's a river, there's a triangular mouth, and that is what we call a delta. The river brings rich soil to the delta. Swamps and marshes are other wetlands. So, I think you know this because we discussed this before. So, swamps and marshes are wetlands. So, wetlands like the Everglades in Florida have water on or near the surface of the soil. So remember, wetlands, as you can see from the word wet, which means water, and lands, soil. Now, water affects where people live. Big cities have grown near coasts and rivers because people use water to travel and to move goods. I think you understand this actually. We've discussed this a million times. So remember that in history, there are many big cities like the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization. They actually grew into a civilization because they are near rivers. Why is that important? Because people use water for drinking, for planting, for agriculture, and for transportation to move goods. So that's why it affects the lives of human beings and also the lives of plants and animals. So that's why water is so important. Now let's continue our discussion. Now we're going to discuss right now climate and wildlife. So the main idea here is that the climate of the south is warm, but it varies across the region. So usually, most part of the southern region is actually warm. So the south tends to be warmer and moister than northern regions. I think you know the meaning of warmer and moister. In winter, many people visit the south to avoid cold northern temperatures. So again, people from north, like let's say Canada, or from northern regions of the United States. I mean, in the east, they actually visit the south because it's actually warmer. Again, remember that the south is very close to the equator, and with the equator and with the ocean, it actually makes the temperature a little bit warmer or hotter during the winter season. Let's continue. The south has more than one climate. Factors that control climate are latitude, elevation. So elevation means how high your area is, and the closeness to water. So if you are far away from water, it means that your temperature is actually colder. But if you're near water, like let's say Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, or Atlantic Ocean, if you're very close to that water, it means that your temperature or your overall climate will be warmer. So that's closeness to water. Because the south is quite close to the equator, its climate is warmer. So as I said, than regions farther away from the equator, the southern latitude also results in a longer growing season than regions farther north. Farmers in coastal regions of the south can grow crops for most of the year. So farmers here are very lucky because again, they can grow crops for most of the year. Going here, next. Seasons and severe weather. Coastal areas, again, south is very close to the Atlantic Ocean. So remember, there are hurricanes here that are happening every year. So coastal areas of the south are usually warm. The ocean helps keep the air temperature steady. Winter is mild in the lowlands of the Mississippi Delta. Summer, however, is hot. As I said, it's hot and humid. Just like Qatar, hot and humid. Humid means moist or having a lot of water vapor in the air. So that's the meaning of the word moisture, which means there's a lot of water in the air. Water vapor, I mean. So at higher elevations, winter is not as warm as in the coastal plains. The Ozark Highlands can have severe weather. Frequent tornadoes, I think you know what are tornadoes, strike in Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida. The South has many tropical storms that can cause heavy flooding and other damage. Most start in the Atlantic Ocean. Some grow into the hurricanes. Between 1900 and 1996, Texas had 36 hurricanes. Florida had 57. Remember hurricanes that are very, very powerful storms. They have powerful winds, and a lot of rain water. As you can see here in the picture, this is a picture of hurricane, or you can actually Google that. You can actually go to your website, any website, and search for hurricane videos, and you can find what's happening during a hurricane if you want to see what's happening. Now, moving on. Let's go to the plants and animals now. This is the final part. Please bear with me. Plants and animals have adapted to the climate in the south. To adapt, it means to change in order to better fit in the environment. So we've discussed this before. For example, mangrove trees. So we have learned this before in Everglades reading, that mangrove trees, they have special roots and leaves that actually that had been adopted. They adapted to the sea, to the salt water. Have adapted over the centuries to survive in salty Florida swamps. They develop broad roots that arc above the muddy soil. These roots work like snorkels. They help provide oxygen to the tree as water levels rise and fall. Animals adapt to life in their environment too. Some sea turtles have adapted and survived since the time of the dinosaurs. These turtles nest on beaches. The female bury their eggs in the sand. The turtles have learned to dig nests above the reach of high tides to protect their eggs. As you can see here, animals have learned to adapt. So they are changing their ways so that they can survive. Like here, sea turtles. Turtles, and they bury their eggs under the sand to protect their eggs. And actually, they also dig away from the high tides. So away from the high tide, so that the eggs will be protected away from the river of the from the waves of the sea or the Atlantic Ocean. So here, let's summarize our lesson. The South has a long coastline and many rivers. Most people live on coastal plains. The warm climate gives the South a long growing season. So this is so important. Long growing season, which means that they're producing a lot of food and plants because it's a growing season. Plants and animals have adapted to the environment and climate. Now, why it matters? The warm climate and rich natural resources have allowed people to build a successful economy in the South because of, again, climate and rich natural resources. These people have made big cities and became successful economically in the South. So if you want to read the lesson review, that's it. We go back now to our lesson. So that's our lesson. Let's go to one activity for today. For the activity, now we're done reading it, and I want you to answer now this activity. So you go back to the book again, read it again. If you want to learn some explanations, go back to the video again. So let's see the activity. What are you going to do? I'm going to explain. So this is the activity that is attached in the Class Dojo file. So as you can see here, you can type your name and your grade and section, or you can write it on your own. So you're going to answer the following. So there are actually two pages only, 1 and 2. So it's a very short activity. You can do this on your own. Now, in page 130 to 233, the question is, what kinds of landforms are found on the South? So we have read about that. Number 2, what highlands can be found in the interior of the South? I think you know that also. And what factors control the climate? So you can find that in page 134. And how does the south latitude affect its climate? You can find that in page 134. And in 135, how has the mangrove tree adapted to the southern environment? So we have read about that also. And also you're going to find the meaning of the words peninsula, interior, delta, and adapt. And you're going to answer A and B. This will take you about 15 to 20 minutes only. So be patient. Let's close it up. So that's it. Next, after answering the activity and you have some questions, I want you to, again, tricks and tips, recommendations for you to learn more. You can use your internet browser, Google or Safari here, or you can read the summary of the lesson. So I attach a summary of the lesson here. So I will show it to you right now. So this is it. So this is attached in the Class Dojo class story. So this is the summary of the lesson. So if you want to read this, This summarizes all the words, all the sentences into one page only of the lesson Land and Climate of the South. So read it on your own. It's so concise, it's very short. You can get all the answers from here actually. So and just be patient enough. So the answers are here. So vocabulary words after you read, everything is here in this file. Just download it and read it in your laptop, desktop, or your iPad or your phone. Let's go back. All right. So again, thanks for watching. I'll be waiting for your Socrates quiz results today until 1 p.m. Thank you. God bless and be safe. Goodbye.